Hey!
This is JJ and Alex.
I made a name for myself, I told you I won't be denied.
As you wrap up your day, it's time to get your fix of the teams you live for and the sports you love. This is JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
What's going on? Happy Wednesday to you. Thanks for being with us on the program. Alex, Kirry, Jeremiah, Jensen, JJ and Alex with you right here. Shorter show, not the shortest ones we could do, which I'm glad for. We're going to jam 3 hours into 2. We're going to get you ready for the Utah Jazz and the Bulls coming up tonight. That's a 6 o'clock pregame, or a 5 o'clock pregame, and a 6 o'clock tip. So lots going on, JJ, and I don't know. Like we're watching a lot of sports all the time, and we're watching all these things come down, and then in the end, everything always comes back to the NFL for me. And I made the mistake of looking longingly at this weekend's matchups, and then I convinced myself that the Seahawks have no chance against the 49ers.
Why
That's
did you
what
do
my
that?
brain does.
Did you not watch 2 weeks ago?
That's what my brain does, though.
Why?
They lost week 1.
You should be ultra confident.
I know, but
Now they don't have Kittle now. I mean, Jake Tonjes is a serviceable tight end replacement, but
nobody
that
wants to be
49ers team's banged up. The game is in Seattle. They went down to Santa Clara and kicked their butt.
Yeah, I appreciate you putting that arm around me about that.
I'm just being honest.
I still feel like one of those fans who goes, "We have no shot."
That defense,
they're good
at home.
They're good, but I feel like
with the 12th man,
Sam Darnold's going to start coming back and seeing those ghosts again. By the way,
Alex, you need a shot of fan self-esteem.
By the way, shout out to Sam Darnold, who has 28 regular season wins over the past 2 seasons.
I think Tom Brady's the only person that's ever done that.
That's freaking crazy.
And maybe Peyton Manning.
Think about those two and Sam Darnold. Like, that is wild. Well, I'm excited about it. Okay. We got to get the show kicked off officially, though. I have that going through my mind. I get a little sad. So I need that pick.
Chin up, man.
Okay. Yeah.
Your Seahawks should roll right into hosting an AFC Championship game at home.
Yeah, but don't you do the same thing where you go, the Bills are coming to Mile High.
And who are you playing? The Bears and Rams? I mean, the Rams are the only team that you should be like,
yeah,
man, that offense is pretty good. Stafford's pretty good. Puka's a machine.
Yeah, you're right.
That Rams defense is really good.
All right. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be glass half full.
I think the Rams are going to win in Chicago, by the way.
Until tomorrow. All right.
Baby steps, Bears.
Let's jump in. We got more to get to on the show. The top of the program, we call it The Cut, and let's get right to it.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right. Here's what we got. We didn't get to really chat about this yesterday, and the future of college football is dicey. Dicey at best. Not that it's going to tumble. Now, you could say that it's already been dead, whatever. I'm not talking about NIL, by the way. I'm not talking about rev share. I'm not talking about anything except for the actual format for how these games should be played. And what we mentioned yesterday that was kind of coming down the pike, the words that people were hearing about how this thing was going to go, turned out to be true. Greg Sankey and the SEC do not want the Big Ten's version of what they want, which is just a temporary look at the 16-team playoff for the next couple of years before considering expanding to 24. The SEC doesn't even want to chat about the 24-team playoff. And I don't know why. Because if there's going to be a conference who feels like they should have 11 out of the 18 teams, or is it 16 in the SEC? I always get it mixed up.
It's 16.
11 of the 16 teams in their conference that should be in the college football playoff, it would be the SEC. They would make that argument. And they would have more teams probably than any other conference every other year or so. The Big Ten and they would probably go back and forth depending on the success of the programs. I don't know what Greg Sankey's hang-up is with not wanting to do a 24-team playoff. I know you have some reservations with the 24-team playoff. What's the basis of being reserved about the 24-team playoff?
I feel pretty confident you're going to find your national champion in a 16-team field. Like, I don't feel like there's a team that got left out that had a chance to win it. So, like this year, let's say, for instance, you invited Notre Dame, BYU, Utah, and I guess Vanderbilt was in the mix. All 4 of those teams probably deserve a shot. But beyond that, do you feel like there was anybody out there, anybody possibly out there? And that includes 2 G5s. 2 G5s.
No, it was such
right?
It was
2
such
G5s.
Garbage football, though. Yeah.
See, well, it's okay. See my point?
Yeah.
Like you said, that's garbage football. How many more teams on that level do you need in this thing? At some point, it becomes a participation trophy. And I don't want the playoffs to become that. This needs to be the elite. And it's like the NCAA tournament. Now you're like, well, there's 68 teams. And
is that supposed to be what I sound like?
Yeah, 68. There's 300 Division I basketball programs. Football's a different beast. It is elite, and it is incredible to get one of those 68 invites. And you have to play your way in out of those 4 in Dayton, right? You have to play your way in if you're not one of the 64. I get it. It's hard. It needs to be rare. It needs to be special.
So do you think the 60?
And if you just open up to 24,
hold on.
That's like almost a quarter of Division I football.
But that's what it is in basketball too. I mean, basketball. By the way, stop trying to pretend like the full 64 or 68 team field is all elite. Right? I mean, listen, those 16 seeds generally.
No good. We haven't seen this yet in the football side. Football's different than basketball. Have we seen a team that goes to Dayton in the first 4 and make the Final Four? Yes, we have.
Yeah, UCLA. Right?
UCLA. I think VCU made it.
did it, yeah.
I think there's another one I'm missing, and I can't remember who it is.
Your point's well taken.
Okay?
Yeah.
So there are teams that have made it all the way from that opportunity into the Final Four. We have yet to see a group of 5 team win in the playoff. I know it's been 2 years. But did anybody even come close? So who are the teams on the outside looking in that truly would have a chance to impact it? Now, we got to give Miami credit here, and I have to eat some crow. I didn't think Miami deserved to be in. That's a team that, if the debate went the other way, would have been sitting at home. They're in the national championship game right now. So there's no question that a 16-team playoff would make a lot of sense because you don't want to miss an opportunity for a team like Miami to show you what they could do. Last year, Notre Dame went on a similar run. I believe Notre Dame was a 10 seed, if I remember right. No, Notre Dame hosted. Notre Dame was a 7. Never mind. And you've seen Indiana's rise.
I mean, technically, Ohio State was the 8 seed last year, right?
Technically. And didn't make a conference championship game.
Right.
And in different circumstances could have been in that debate.
It actually helped them to not be in that spot.
But if you have 2 losses, you're in a different debate, right? Alabama. Did they deserve to be in it? Well, they won a game against Oklahoma on the road, so I guess they did. But
you recalibrate it and you say, and this year, look at it the way it was. So the CFP final rankings, I'm going to see what this one is because for this year. So let's just go 1 through 16, okay?
Yeah.
Indiana, Ohio State, Georgia, Texas Tech, Oregon, Ole Miss, A&M, Oklahoma, Alabama, Miami. Now, those are the teams that made it. And that were
non-group. Those are the Power 4 that made it.
Yes. Now, to get the next 16 would be phenomenal. Or the next 6 teams, I guess, would be to
get to 16.
The next 7 teams to get to 16 look like this: Notre Dame, BYU, Texas, Vanderbilt, Utah, USC.
Who wouldn't welcome that? That'd be great.
I love it. Now, if the other 8 are
Texas could prove to they're still Texas fans that think they could have won the national championship this year.
If the other 8 are in fact, from lesser conferences, or you start to find ways for them to get in, because I think you should just go off of the rankings. Like just do this. Now you'd have you'd have a couple of 3-loss teams in there, and you would wonder about some of the teams like you do, because left out of this, interestingly enough, are Arizona, Michigan, Virginia, Tulane, Houston, Georgia Tech.
Do you think any of the teams you just read off had any chance?
The only one that you think about Michigan as being a big program, Arizona had a nice year. I think Brent Brennan does not get enough credit. No one's talking about them. And
got beat in the Holiday Bowl.
Michigan, though, I mean, that's a team that is always being talked about. Now, they'd be on the outside looking in a 16-team playoff.
You got to draw the line somewhere.
I get it. And I guess if you, like, the top 25 is pretty worthless, right? Like, as a ranking system, it just doesn't even matter. Because by the end of the year, we don't even look past 17, right? Or 16, right?
Sure.
So if it gets to 16, why do the group of 5 teams have to even be? I really want to know. Why do they need to be considered?
Because this needs to be a tournament where everybody has a chance.
Will they? So if they weren't a part of it, because if frankly we look at it and they go, they don't have the talent to match up to give us better TV
Did
ratings
Boise
for
State
these
not
games.
deserve to be in the playoff last year?
No. Well, not in the spot that they were. Not at the 4 seed.
Well, and we all understood that needed to be corrected, and it was.
In a 16-team playoff,
The
they
automatic
could be there.
buys and a group and Boise State getting that buy and Arizona State getting that buy was a mistake, and they corrected it. That I agree with. I don't agree that Boise State didn't deserve to be in last year. That was a really good team with a Heisman Trophy runner-up who was dominant all year and earned a spot in the playoff. And under a different matchup, maybe they would have showed better. Maybe without having a bye, they would have showed better against a team that had played a quarterfinal and rolled in that quarterfinal at home in Penn State. So maybe the circumstances would have been different. But don't take away a team like Boise State. This is a bad year to judge the group of 5 qualifier. We had 2, and that's the ACC's fault. Miami was clearly the best team in the ACC.
Duke, how dare you?
And the ACC should have highest-ranked college football playoff teams in their championship game. You don't need to do anything else. And it's embarrassing that league didn't have that set up, and it really hurt the league.
Did they change
Miami
it, by the way,
should have been in.
Did they change it, by the way?
I haven't heard
to?
that they have. I haven't heard that they have. They need to fix that. In fact, I think all leagues should do that. Your conference championship participants should be the highest ranked in the college football playoff rankings.
That's a hard sell because you have one that are the actual conference standings, and then you have the other, which is a group of subjective humans who get together and decide. And we know how flawed that can be. So that's a tough one, too.
But to your point, that's a great point, but then you think about the fact that in these giant conferences, teams aren't really playing their conference schedule. They're playing half of it.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
How many contenders in the Big Ten this year did Indiana play other than Oregon?
People are already ripping a bunch of the Big Ten schedules for next year.
Ohio State's schedule was soft,
yes.
and it hurt them in the playoffs.
It did. Indiana last year was the same way.
Yes.
They went through a little bit more of the fire to get to where they're at. And
they
I
had
think
to go win at Oregon. They had to go win at Oregon, and that made a difference for them.
So
they didn't have that last year.
Ohio State, we were told all season long, had the best defense in the country. And actually, when they went up against the teams that they did. Now, interestingly enough, one of the fascinating points that we saw, one of these guys who was trying to pitch that Indiana doesn't deserve to be, or no, not doesn't deserve, but that they didn't really earn this totally where they're at.
They kind of cheated.
Yeah, it was that their schedule was kind of soft, and they all have these old guys and blah blah blah. But the other thing that he put out there was, look at Indiana. 27 of the 33 touchdowns thrown by Fernando Mendoza were by teams that had losing records, including like the 3 garbage games that they play every year, plus the garbage bottom of the Big Ten, which it is garbage, by the way.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting is this. More interesting than this, to me, is those weird rumors that are swirling around about the possibility of Utah going to the Big Ten. Would there ever be any kind of truth to what I've heard before as a Utah and Colorado move over to the Big Ten?
Anything is possible in college football, as we've seen. I mean, we're sitting here with those teams in the Big 12 when 10 years ago, you would never would have thought the Pac-12 would ever go away.
Right.
But here we are. So anything's possible.
You have 2 teams in the Bay Area and California who are Atlantic Coast Conference teams. So
Which
anything
makes
is possible.
No sense. So
I guess
anything is possible.
I guess that's true. But imagine all the work that, to try to get BYU and Utah back in a conference together, that Utah will say, we didn't actually want it. We never wanted it. I'm glad I was excited to be in the Big 12, and I'm not excited today. Yeah, now I'm not, right? And that sentiment has carried through. Now, when you start to get a conference that has 20, when you start to get the super conferences that are talked about, like the 24, we'll never be able to have an apples-to-apples comparison with teams. That's the tough part about
it's impossible
the super
now.
conferences.
It's impossible.
Even now, when you're playing a 9-game schedule and you have 18 teams in your league, you could always point to a team and go, yeah, they were actually playing tougher teams than you guys. And they do have one more loss. But
you're
you know
only
what?
playing half your league and you're claiming you're a conference champion. That doesn't make any sense.
But they played Michigan, and you guys did not. You know what I mean? Like that kind of conversation. So, my brain just went to Kyle Whittingham facing off against the Utes in the Big Ten as conference foes at some point.
I'm here for it.
Oh.
Sign me up.
What a weird world we live in. Yeah. I don't know. To me, a 16-team playoff. Here's what the reality is, everybody. If what we're looking at here is that we are T-minus 9 days away from all of these commissioners getting together and putting a vote. And that vote has to have the unanimous decision by everybody. And Greg Sankey will say no, and it will stay at a 12-team playoff because the SEC won't want to budge about a conversation of a 24-team playoff. So standing on the principle of I don't want to play a 24-team playoff, they're going to keep it at 12 teams just to pout.
I know why he's doing that.
I mean, it's a bargaining chip, right?
You just saw this year why he's doing this. What happened to the SEC in the playoff?
Oh, yeah, they stunk it up. Were they 1-5 or whatever it was?
Well, Oklahoma lost to Alabama beat Oklahoma. Wasn't that the only SEC win? Ole Miss beat Tulane. But that's not a Power 4 team.
Yeah.
Ole Miss also beat Georgia.
But like I said,
they beat up. There were so many teams in the SEC in there that the teams beat up on each other. But when they played somebody Power 4 that wasn't them, they got beat pretty good.
But the SEC didn't even like Ole Miss being the rep for the SEC.
That was uncomfortable for them.
If Georgia was still in it all the way up to the national championship game, then they'd say, look at the power of the SEC. When Ole Miss goes as far as they went, people were kind of going, oh, yeah, Ole Miss. Yeah, no, they're good. Anyway, and especially this year because of the whole garbage surrounding Lane Kiffin. So it's not even just the SEC. It's the four or five teams that give the SEC the reputation that it has.
Yes.
Who are they? Georgia, Alabama, LSU.
LSU's in there.
Florida.
Yep.
Who am I missing? Texas.
Yeah.
Maybe Oklahoma. You could throw in Oklahoma as another one. Those are the only ones that they really are going to hang their hat on.
Occasionally Tennessee.
Occasionally Tennessee. They want to. And Tennessee is not just down. They're just not. They
haven't been consistent enough.
They were good for Phil Fulmer. Congrats. You were the only thing that made that program what it was.
When's the last time Florida was good? I think they've fallen out of that conversation.
Sure. But I'm saying from a brand perspective, they love seeing that logo up. Sure. They love seeing this logo up.
And they get the benefit of the doubt they're the new Texas. Florida's in the top 25 every year, and we're like, why?
6 out of the 18 teams get the attention. Even Vanderbilt was looked at sideways for doing well, right?
Yep. Yes.
Missouri's good every other year, it seems like. And you go,
people think they're still in the Big 12.
I forgot they're in the SEC. Uh-huh.
People don't even know that Missouri's in the SEC.
So Greg Sankey is pushing for those 6 teams to dictate everything. And he wants 5 of those guys at least in the 12-team playoff or 16-team playoff every year.
And you know why he doesn't want the playoff to expand? I'll finish my point. Okay? This year they got 5 in. He made the comment earlier, I think we should get 8 or 9 in, whatever it was. Look, at 12 or 16, the SEC is going to be the predominant conference represented in the playoff. More opportunities for the SEC to claim that they're the best. You expand it to 24, suddenly you're inviting more and more schools and more teams. You can only have so many SEC teams, and what's going to happen is those teams are going to beat the SEC teams head-to-head in a playoff. The SEC is going to be embarrassed. And he sees it, they know it, that the tide is turning college football. That more schools like BYU, like Utah, like Texas Tech, like Indiana, now have resources to compete at the highest level for the best players. The SEC no longer has a stranglehold on the best talent in the country, and you're seeing the tide change. And in a 24-team playoff, it becomes even more so because more teams get opportunities at the SEC, and they will beat them. And it'll be bad for the SEC. You eliminate the amount of teams that can take a shot at the SEC. It was just a one-off. The Big Ten's getting lucky the last 3 years. We'll get them. If you have SEC teams losing en masse in playoff appearances, it'll be a bad look for the SEC, and it'll hurt them in the long run. He does not want that, and he knows that's exactly what would happen.
I hope they can figure things out and just punt the 24-team conversation till later. Get us to 16.
Yep.
Because we would have had a BYU and a Utah go into the playoffs.
And you mentioned
selfishly.
I'll be honest. Texas into the playoff is kind of interesting. Notre Dame would have been there. All that controversy wouldn't have existed. Maybe you enjoyed that, but Notre Dame would have had to put up or shut up. Texas would have had to put up or shut up. BYU, with the right matchup, would have been really interesting in the playoff. We saw what Miami did. Why couldn't BYU have had a similar run with those matchups? I'd take BYU over Ole Miss in a one-off.
Well, and what do you look like if you have the Fanos playing in a college football 100%
playoff? With a full-strength Utah? That Utah team, the way they look with a healthy Dampier in that bowl game, in that Vegas Bowl, you don't think healthy Dampier makes a dent in the playoff? I would have wanted to see it.
Ooh, healthy Dampier? Is that a action figure that I can buy?
Healthy Dampier coming in 2026.
We're going to take a break. We're going to talk to Utah Jazz. Chandler Holt, one of the hosts of Jazz Notes with Ben Anderson. He also writes up a lot on the Jazz with KSLSports.com. Chandler's going to join us. We're going to talk about the Utah Jazz and the Cavaliers win, plus going forward, this Bulls matchup tonight and what it looks like going into we're going into free agency here pretty soon. We're going into that time of the year that's really fun to talk about. All-stars, but also big trades. I love all of it. So stay right here. More to go. Chandler Holt next, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
What time is it?
Your exclusive home of Utah Jazz basketball is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Garland trying to bump him back on Keontae. Bounces it down low to Tomlin. Jumping high as Nurkic blocking and shaking his head. No. Here comes Keontae. Finger roll, scoop and a score. Love hands to Cody. Back to Keontae. Angle left three. Oh, he hit it. Wow. Keontae George. Collier on the push far side. High stepping. Kicks to Love. Three ball. Tender Love. Bullets the pass to Collier. He walks back to the three-point line. He fires. He misses. Bailey high rebound. Bullet down low to Love and a right-hand layup. What a play by Ace Bailey. Two-hand rebound coming down through a three-foot pass to Love who laid it up and in.
You're locked into JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome in, everybody. You know what that sweet riff that John Tesh has given us means. We're going to talk some Utah Jazz here. Jazz basketball starting up at 5 o'clock today with your pregame and then a 6 o'clock tip-off against the Chicago Bulls. Hoping to follow up that 11-point win over the Cavaliers with another nice performance against an Eastern Conference team. Chandler Holt, co-host of the Jazz Notes podcast. He and Ben Anderson do a phenomenal job on that if you want to get all sorts of download to just be able to talk about the Utah Jazz with anybody at the office. You hang out with the guys at Jazz Notes. Chandler and Ben do a great job. Want to make sure you know, by the way, we're starting to back up again this year. It's a new year. You've got to do it. The KSL Sports Zone and Beehive Meals, we're honoring people who have that impact in the sports communities. What do? You just nominate the youth sports volunteer that you know. It doesn't have to be a coach. It doesn't have to be an assistant coach. It could be a ref. It could be a team mom. It could be somebody who just goes above and beyond for their team in their community or for a sport in their community. I don't even care which sport it is. Let's go. Let's get it going. We want to honor the people who are in the background making it happen for kids and the youth sports in their community. It's the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week, KSLSports.com/contests. And then on Thursdays, we read those winners off on our program. It's the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. Chandler, thanks for joining us on the program, man. And quite the bounce back from a 55-point loss to an 11-point win over a pretty decent Cavs team.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me, and Happy New Year. I don't think I've talked to you
guys,
so far
you
in 2026.
So as you saw this game go down in Cleveland, I think we all knew there was going to be some version of a bounce back. If Will Hardy's good for something as a head coach, which he's really good, he gets his guys motivated and he puts the fire underneath them. Do you think that was it? They needed a little bit of a reminding of who they are as a talent at a talent level, the 55-point game does not represent who they are as a team, it feels like.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then also in that game, you don't have Larry Markkinen. And I think that the win over the Cavaliers, mind you, the Cavs have had their fair share of struggles this year, but this Jazz team is really a team that can win any single game that's in front of them. I mean, and it's a similar storyline in the game against the Cavs. Larry Markkinen and Keyonte George combined for 60 points. I think the Jazz have won over 70% of their games when they each score 25 plus, and that has happened more than you might think so far this year. It's when you have two all-star level players, which Keyonte George has proven he is so far this year, you can win any game. And that's why the Jazz are so much more exciting to watch this year than last year.
What were some of your thoughts as you're watching that game? It was kind of funny because, you're watching Donovan Mitchell on one side, and we all know the history there. And then you seeing Keyonte George on the other, and it kind of, there was this crossing of Jazz worlds, Chandler. I don't know if you felt the same thing. What was it like watching that game for you and watching what used to be with Donovan Mitchell on one side and this new Jazz team on the other?
Absolutely, and something very interesting, and if you Ben has made this comparison many times, the third-year jump. Donovan had a similar one when he was here in Utah, and now we're seeing it from Keyonte George. It's always a good matchup when Donovan Mitchell and the Cavs face off against the Jazz, but what I was really taking away when I was watching this game is, mind you, Donovan Mitchell is an all-star. He's established in this league. You're like basically a veteran at this point. But Keyonte George outplayed him the other night. Yes. Keyonte had 32, 9 assists, and then Donovan Mitchell 21. It was a close game, and I think that it really could have went either way, but it was that Keyonte George game that allowed them to beat the former Jazzman and the Cavs.
Let's stay on Key for a second here because it's a third-year jump, but it's also a massive jump. Donovan Mitchell was scoring 20 points a game when he was a rookie, and then he got to the spot where he's scoring 23 and a half the second year, and then he gets up to the 24 level. Keyonte goes from a guy that you couldn't really rely on bringing the ball up the floor without maybe seeing a turnover half of the time or more, and now he's turned into a bona fide all-star level guy. How is that big of a jump possible for a guy like Key? What do you think the reality is of how he got there?
Yeah, I really think, mind you, I know that Keyonte George had an absolutely grueling summer. He was with the team in Utah a lot, also took the guys out to Texas at one point. And really, you could have read the tea leaves with this because even at media day, he had a maturity that wasn't really seen. Not that he was specifically immature, but it was kind of clicking for him at media day. A lot of guys from his draft class, a great example, Cam Whitmore, sort of bouncing around the league. A lot of other guys aren't in the league anymore. He realized that his spot isn't guaranteed for him. And you're right, the jump has been ridiculous. Almost every single stat, from points to efficiency to everything, he's up 7 points per game, which is ridiculous. You're absolutely right. 16.8 last year, he's at 23.8 right now. I really of course, maybe a homer pick. I think he should be the front runner for most improved player, which would be funny because Larry Markkinen got that award a couple years ago. But yeah, he has been absolutely phenomenal, and I think that the future for the Jazz is getting so much more clear, and so much of that credit is owed to Keyonte George.
No question. The emergence of Keyonte George has given fans in this franchise a light at the end of the tunnel. You can see the development. You can see where this is going now because you found somebody in the draft that you know is going to be a star moving forward among these young guys. And I think people are starting to take notice, Chandler. Donovan Mitchell had those comments after the game, and that's what Donovan Mitchell is and does. I mean, he really recognizes other guys, and he's great in what he says. But what does it mean to have Keyonte George starting to get noticed? I don't know if it's enough to get him in the All-Star game this year, Chandler, but it feels to me like people are starting to take notice, and the reason why he's not going to get in the All-Star game has nothing to do with him. It has to do with the fact that the Jazz don't have a winning record.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's also just a ridiculous amount of talent in the NBA right now.
Yeah.
I think here's the thing. The Jazz are 14-25, and typically, especially on the national scale, losing teams, especially that far under 500, don't get that much attention regardless of how well you're performing. And Keyonte's already getting that. So assuming in 2 years, next year even, the Jazz are around 500, above 500, looking to compete for the postseason, then I think it's going to be a real discussion. And I don't really – what is stopping Keyonte George from being a 28-point-per-game guy in 3 years? You know, you see this list of it's hard for guards early in their career, and once it clicks, it can really click. Of course, defense is a thing for Keyonte George. He's already addressing a lot of the turnover things. I really don't know what his ceiling is, and I think it's way too early. He's 22 years old and pretty freshly there to put a cap on him. I think he can keep growing, and I wouldn't be surprised if that all-star nod is coming sooner rather than not.
You know, I was thinking about that. You were talking about guards in the league and how quickly they can burst onto the scene. When they do start scoring like that, then it's almost like automatic. You think of guys like recently, Jalen Brunson comes to mind, where he just blew up. You know, he had nice years in Dallas. He gets to New York. He doesn't just improve. He gets to be, in the conversation for the MVP. I mean, that's how good he's gotten. I think about how much bigger and longer Keontae is than a guy like Brunson. I see that, and I know this has turned into a lot of Keontae George love on this, but it's just weird because I think that the Jazz have basically, with him playing the way he is this year, that's as good as getting a phenomenal pick last year in the draft. And Ace Bailey is showing a lot of promise. And all the guys who are playing around him, Lauri Markkanen is a big part of why Keontae George is doing what he's doing. They complement each other well on the floor. I think the old guys in the locker room are pretty darn fun. How big of a deal has it been to have really good veterans who have buckled down with this locker room that's also full of a bunch of young guys?
Oh, it is massive, and I see a lot of Jazz fans maybe questioning why guys like Steve Mikhailiuk or Kevin Love might get more minutes than Bryce Sensabaugh. Like examples like that on any given night. But the importance of veterans can't really be understated. Vince Lombardi said, practice doesn't make perfect, perfect practice makes perfect. And that's really what it is. You need to have some stability. And if you just run out with all of your 23 and under guys, it's just going to be a lot of backyard basketball. I know they're professionals at the end of the day, but you still need to learn. And I think I'll say this again, the stability that veterans provide is very important. And it also should be said that guys like Kevin Love and Svi, like I said, even Lauri Markkanen, they complement the young guys very well. It's not just the fact they have around or more than 10 years in the league. They're all great guys. And I think that is showing. I think this Jazz team really likes each other, and they're setting a tremendous foundation for the years to come.
Have you been sold on Cody Williams' recent improvement? Do you feel like he's turned a corner?
I think Cody Williams is a very interesting situation. I was far from selling stock on him after his rookie year. I think there has been a lot of positives this year. Like, he'll sub in and the Jazz will actually be a better team. I know plus minus doesn't mean everything, but a lot of times he'll be one of the guys positive off the bench. And yeah, he's showing a lot more confidence, which is something I think he lacked a lot of last year. But still, you just see it. Sometimes he is just a bit out of place because he is so tall, so lanky, but doesn't have the weight to really push guys around on offense or defense. But I still do have faith that Cody Williams could be one of the top options for a competitive Jazz team. Just come in, play some defense, get downhill every now and then, and maybe knock down a couple of threes.
Chandler Holt joining us on the program, co-hosts Jazz Notes with Ben Anderson. Give it a drop, give it a listen, and tune in tonight. What's this Bulls game look like for this Jazz team? They got a night off, and they're going to stay out east there. So what does this one look like tonight against the Bulls at the United Center?
Yeah, the last game between these two teams, they played earlier in the season, and it was probably one of the most entertaining games of the year for the Jazz. They won 150-147 in double overtime.
Oh, yeah.
And Lauri Markkanen and Keontae George, as I said earlier, in this game they combined for 80 points. Lauri Markkanen had 47, absolutely ridiculous. However, no Lauri tonight. So I think it will be a lot tougher. I think these games when Lauri doesn't play, we've seen a handful of them where he's out for a rest or he had the hip injury earlier in the season. I think these are the games where you really see what Keontae George is about. Like, the defense attention is going to be all on him. Mind you, the Bulls aren't a fabulous defensive team, and I think they've lost 4 of their last 5 games, but still will be a test without Lauri Markkanen out there. I think it will be a good game regardless, and, of course, as always, it seems every game now, keeping an eye on Keontae George.
Chandler, we appreciate it, man. We're going to be dialed in, of course, on your radio home of the Utah Jazz right here, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Chandler, have a good one, man. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. You as well.
There you go. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We've got a Would You Rather around the corner. We're going to get you to the top of the hour. Mike Folta, play-by-play voice of the Utah Mammoth. Did they win last night?
Yes, they did.
Oh. I didn't know.
They won bigly.
Happen to know the score off the top of your head?
5-1.
6-1.
Oh, they added another one.
They did.
How did
they snuck one past you.
They had so many, I stopped counting.
No, they scored one this morning.
That's what what happened.
We'll take the break. More to go. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Listen, everybody. Real-life hypotheticals to get your brain churning. As JJ and Alex ask, would you rather?
Welcome back, everybody. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Would you rather coming up right now? First, want to remind you, it's a Win Ticket Wednesday. That means right now, you're calling us up at 801-575-ZONE. If you're calling number 12, you win. What do you win? 2 tickets to the Skijoring in Heber City starting up on January 16th. Listen to the KSL Sports Zone every Wednesday for your chance to win, including right now. Skijoring. It's happening in Heber City. If you've never seen the winter sports in Heber City, it is something to behold, and this is an awesome event. So be calling number 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-ZONE. JJ, do you like, let me ask you this, because we're going to talk with Mike Folta in a minute. And that game last night against Toronto was huge. We were trying to figure out where it lands on big wins. It's just good to get a win over a big name like Toronto, who is turning things around a little bit. You know, that's a team that everybody has their eyes on. This was a nationally televised game. Yeah. Good place to do it. That second period with that flurry of goals that made it 4-0, I went, first of all, the electricity. I wasn't in Delta Center there. I'm watching it at home with my boys, and you could feel the vibe, and there was something special with that. Would you rather have a 6-1 win over a team like Toronto, or have that magical golden goal that happens in overtime against a team like Toronto?
You know, there's something to be said about those memorable finishes and all that kind of stuff and the drama that comes with it. Those are nice, but occasionally you want to kick the best in the teeth, and they did that last night. Some of the best players in the world on that team, and to crush them like that feels pretty good. This team, and it reminds me of the 7-2 win against the Islanders. The Islanders are a good hockey team, and the Mammoth went in their building earlier this month and took it to them. I guess it was on New Year's Day. And 7-2. So occasionally you want a game like that where you see your team just absolutely dominate. So while the 3-2 overtime wins are more dramatic and maybe make better television, it felt good last night to watch this Mammoth team just absolutely crush one of the most talented teams in the NHL and a storied franchise like the Maple Leafs. So I'm taking that blowout win every time.
I hate the nerves of a close game that goes to overtime.
Yeah, but that's why we tune in, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is like we're
addicted to that adrenaline rush, and we don't want to admit it.
The thing is like the Leafs were disappointed. Like their shoulders were hanging down when it was 4-0. So then they get into the third period and try to put up a little bit of a fight. They score a goal relatively early in that third period, I think, but they were just kind of this is not going well.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Second out of a back-to-back, they started to run out of gas in that second period.
But when a team gets scored on in overtime, the look of absolute, just their faces drop. I love to see that in an opponent's face. Like, they're all hopeful. They could get 2 points out of this thing, and then you score. Gunther just fires one in.
You've crushed their soul in the second period. That's kind of fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's that. There's that.
Here's a would you rather, though, and this is for the Maple Leafs. Would you rather beat the Colorado Avalanche in overtime the night before, or get your butt kicked by this franchise they call the Utah Mammoth that you've never heard of before? Which one would you rather have as a Leafs fan?
I mean, obviously you want to.
You can't have both. You got to have one or the other. Which medicine you taking?
Yeah, the Avalanche. Yeah, the Avalanche.
Not many teams have been able to go into Colorado and get a win this year, and Toronto did that, which was impressive. So the fact that they had no gas in the tank last night was understandable, but to the benefit of the Utah Mammoth.
Oh, man, I'm loving this John Harbaugh to New York rumor mill that's churning right now. He's allegedly spoken with Jackson Dart. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, that's pretty deep into the process if you're already talking to the quarterback.
Well, I heard that they let Jackson Dart interview guys. He's like the third level of interviews.
Why wouldn't you?
He puts those fake glasses on and he goes,
you got the owner, the GM, the head coach, and Jackson Dart sitting in the
boardroom.
Coach,
Jackson Dart here. What would you do with me? All right. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Mike Folta, radio play-by-play voice of the Utah Mammoth, going to join us next, as he does mostly on a weekly basis. So we're going to get Mike on. We're going to chat about that game last night and what the future looks like in the near future for this Mammoth team, who are looking to put together a nice run here. 7 out of 8 points that they've gotten at home during this homestand. Not too shabby. We'll come back. Mike Folta next, 97.5 KSL Sports Zone.
The exclusive home of the Utah Mammoth is on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
As he pedals up the left flank, he shoots and scores! Dylan Gunther fires a frozen row, almost too good to believe. Nobody knew it was in. So far this evening, and it's 2-0. Gunther on the attack again. He scores again! Dylan Gunther goes back to back. Peterka shoots, and he scores! Boone had the screen, Peterka the shot, and it's 4-0. Another one of the new line combos finds the magic touch for head coach Andre Kirry.
You're locked into JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, everybody. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Alex, Kirry, Jeremiah, Jensen. Thanks for being with us on the program today. You can always download the podcast wherever podcasts are found. You can also stream us at KSLSports.com. You can also watch us and stream us at our YouTube channel. And, of course, it's just the KSL Sports YouTube channel. Easy enough to find there. All sorts of ways for you to be able to watch this thing. We're going to get the radio play-by-play voice of the Utah Mammoth on momentarily. His name's Mike Folta. We love having Mike on. He's awesome. That was a fun one. You just heard his voice on the way in. The 6-1 win meant something to me, JJ, that was a little bit more than just the 6-1 win over the Toronto Maple Leafs. We said it yesterday. That win gets them to 50 points, and that felt significant.
Yeah.
In a moment where they're still 11 points behind the Wild and Dallas in their division. It's a tough division. It's the hardest division in hockey, but that was a great step forward. And so far, they had the overtime loss. It was just the 1 point, but other than that, 7 of the 8 points they could have earned on this homestand so far they've gotten.
We've been talking about consistency with this team for quite a while now. Ever since that 7-game win streak early in the season, we hadn't seen that consistency. They'd have a great effort and a great game, followed by a head-scratcher, and it felt like a pattern. Well, now they get into January, and you mentioned the run they're on here now, and this is what we expected them to do. You get home for a period of time after playing more road games than anybody in the first half of the schedule in the NHL, and now you're making progress, stacking up points, stacking up W's. Outside of the overtime loss to Columbus, it's been a pretty good run here to start the season, or start the new year, and they got to hold on to that spot. You got to create a gap between you and those Pacific Division teams that are bunched up there. You also need to create a gap between you and Nashville. The Preds are coming. They just beat them earlier a couple weeks ago, and they're only 2 points behind Utah for that spot. So the heat is on, and Utah's got to start stacking W's, and it's got to continue.
Well, it was a great start last night, obviously, because this one was huge. Coming off of the overtime loss to Columbus, it just felt icky. Some tweaks were made to the lineup. You just heard it in the intro there with the voice of the Mammoth, Mike Folta, who pointed it out. Some tweaks to the lines, including Dylan Gunther getting moved to a different line. Seems to have paid off. Mike Folta, the radio play-by-play voice of the Mammoth, joining us on the program. Didn't just pay off. It paid off huge. Yesterday, Mike, on our show, we were like, got to have J.J. Peterka scoring goals again. Got to have Dylan Gunther scoring again, and they both did. It seemed like everybody did. Massive win last night. What was it like inside the stadium when it got to that 4-0 moment?
Oh, just like JJ on the putting green, Andre Tourney had the magic touch when making some tweaks to the lineup the other night. It was some shuffling that honestly, like, we didn't really know what to think about going in because we hadn't seen these combos before. And what do you know? One of the lines that he puts together is Dylan Gunther, who's Utah's leading goal scorer, along with Jack McBain, who's kind of a tough, bruiser, and then Michael Carcone, a speedster, a scorer. And that line had 4 of Utah's 6 goals. They were buzzing, and you could feel it even before they scored that they were going to connect. And everything was firing in favor of Utah last night. It was a favorable scheduling spot because you had Toronto coming in on game 2 of a back-to-back. They played a high-paced, emotional game in Colorado the night before. But nobody's feeling sorry for him, right? Like, you can't apologize for taking advantage of the scheduling spots that are given to you. Mammoth are going to be in some tough scheduling spots in the weeks ahead. And they jumped on a Toronto team that didn't know what hit them. it was 1-0 after the first, and then Utah just kind of kept the train rolling down the tracks with that line of Gunther, McBain, and Carcone. They were just pouring them in.
As a new franchise, there's always firsts, and we encounter firsts. It feels almost like on a weekly basis, and last night was another one. It was the first time they'd ever beat the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I know eventually they're going to beat every team in the league. It's just a matter of time. But how important was that, or how significant, or how much fun was it to watch Utah do that against one of the most historic hockey programs or hockey teams in the NHL's history?
Yeah, I mean, they're an original six franchise, and a bunch of Utah's players, right, are from Ontario or from Canada, and you could tell there was a little extra juice, I think, at some of those guys' game, where a guy like Barrett Hayton, who grew up in Peterborough, Ontario, a little outside of Toronto, he's probably got a bunch of buddies watching back home in Toronto, right? Like this is a game where finally, if you only have the TSN feed or the Sportsnet feed, you can watch your old buddy Barrett Hayton play, and he was fantastic. Jack McBain had himself a goal and a couple assists. He's another Toronto guy. So I think those Ontario natives, they got it going a little bit. They knew that there were a few more eyeballs on them last night from back home, and they showed out. But aside from being just a historic franchise, Toronto was a team that was one of the hottest teams in the league coming into that game. They had points in 10 straight games, so they had won 8 of their last 10, and their only losses in that span had come in overtime. They had just beaten the league's best team the night before in Colorado, and so this is a team that is not just hot, but they also feature some of the best players in the world. Austin Matthews may very well be the best American-born goal scorer when it's all said and done. They have guys like William Nylander, who's one of the best Swedish players that we've ever seen in the league, and that's saying quite a bit. They have elite players, like world-class guys, and Utah took it to them. 6-1, like, would that happen 10 times out of 10 if these two teams played? No, probably not. But the Mammoth made the most of it on a night where things were going their way.
Before the Mammoth head out on another few games on the road, this 7-game stand is still going, and they've got quite a bit of some tests in front of them. They've scored 7 out of the 8 points so far. That one overtime loss, of course, against Columbus. Forget about it because he had the 6-1 win against Toronto, and you're rolling here. And I made this comparison with JJ last week. I said, look, they were at the same point total last year at this point. And then they went on to lose, I think, 3 or 4 games in a row when they had 43 points. And now they've already flipped the script on last year's schedule. How do the next team stack up? Because I'm scared as heck to see the Dallas Stars come into Delta Center.
Yeah, Dallas is one of the best teams in the league. They're second place in the Central Division, which, I mean, pretty much everybody is playing for second place because the Avalanche are that good. But it's pretty crazy that Dallas is in their worst stretch of the year. They've only won twice in their last 10 games. And they still are at the top of the league standings. Like, this is a rough patch for them, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And they're still one of the league's best teams. One of the reasons they've taken a little bit of a downturn is their power play has dried up a little bit. They only have 2 power play goals in their last, I think it's like 9 games, where that's something that they lean on heavily. They have a guy named Wyatt Johnston who leads the NHL in power play goals. But it's back-to-back games for Utah where you have like just some of the best players in the world coming to the Delta Center, where Wyatt Johnston's an elite player. You've got Jason Robertson, who was a snub for Team USA. A lot of people thought that he would make it. Jamie Benn is their captain, their leader. He's one of those hard-nosed guys. He's had a lot of success against Utah. And then they've got one of the best goalies in the world, Jake Ottinger, is going to be playing for Team USA at the Olympics coming up. That's who Utah is going to face tomorrow. So it's a great test for the Mammoth. They've always played Dallas close. Now, close doesn't get you anything in the NHL, but you even look back to last year. There's been 5 matchups between these teams, and in 4 of those 5 matchups, the game has been decided by 1 goal. And the one game that wasn't decided by 1 goal, it was a 1-goal game in the third. Utah got a goal late to win 5-3. But the games are always close with Dallas. Utah played Dallas close earlier in the year, lost by 1. That was the night after Clayton Keller had learned about his father's passing. So it was an emotional game. It was an emotional game for Utah. And They came up just a little bit short because the Stars cashed in on some power plays, but it is a great test because the Stars team has been to the conference finals year after year after year, and they think this is their chance to finally break through, which they haven't done. I mean, guys, like when you fire your coach after making it to the conference finals, that tells you the kind of expectations that an organization has.
Dallas bookends this 8-game stretch coming up that is just brutal, Mike. I know you've looked at it. Dallas, Seattle, Philadelphia, Nashville, Tampa Bay, Florida, Carolina, and Dallas again. Is this a stretch coming up here that could determine whether or not they get in the playoffs? Their success during this stretch, how important will it be?
Yeah, I think because we were talking about this on the broadcast, like I think we're in the middle of a stretch that, yes, is one of those determining stretches, one of those crucial stretches. And I think there's another one coming up. I'm going to separate it just for my sanity, where I'm going to look at the 7 home games as its own stretch. And we're going to try and just make the most out of these 7 at home. And then we'll worry about that just bagger of a road trip coming up. Yeah. That is a doozy. That's some great cities, some great towns where we're going to, enjoy some good weather and take in some sunshine coming up. But boy, these last couple of years when the weather's good in the East Coast and you're on the road, that usually means you're playing a pretty good team like Florida and like Tampa, and like Carolina for that matter too. But it's a great challenge on the road, but I think the Mammoths have plenty of work to do here at home. Seattle's been playing better this season, better than people expected, as is Philadelphia. Those are 2 teams in playoff spots right now. So 3 more games on this homestand against teams that are currently in postseason spots. And this time last year, Utah kind of missed out on an opportunity to make the most of a 7-game homestand. Utah so far is making the most of it, but a long way to go here on this home stretch. So that's what I'm looking at, these next 3.
Do the golf clubs fit on the team charter, Mike? I'm just wondering if on that Tampa and Florida trip down there, I mean, it'd be a shame if you couldn't get out there on the links a little bit.
I saw Ryan Smith drill a hole-in-one at Pebble Beach the other day. I was like, wow, sick life. Owns 2 teams, hole-in-one at Pebble Beach.
It's good to be him.
Jeez. Second year in the league, if I showed up with golf clubs, I would get laughed back down to single-A hockey. So that'd be a no-go. Although I did – in the minor leagues, it's a little bit more touch and go. You're closer with the equipment guys, things like that. I did bring the clubs to Florida once in the minors. There's no room.
Indoor facilities only for you this time of year. No problem. All right. Yeah, get your swings in.
Maybe I'll bring a glove and like 24 Kirkland balls, and I'll
there you go.
Rent them.
There you go.
That should last me about 9 holes.
24 Kirkland balls. Yeah, there you go.
Hey, those are okay. Don't hate on those balls. That Kirkland.
Don't get me wrong.
It's not bad.
I don't throw that one back in the woods. I keep
there you
those.
Go, see?
You know what I mean?
You got plenty of those in your bag.
Mike Folta, radio play-by-play voice of the Utah Mammoth, joining us. Last week, we were all keeping it under the lid, you especially because you're on your way up to Rice-Eccles Stadium for the official announcement. The official announcement happened right after you were off the air with us, but just try to explain how big of a deal it is with the Winter Classic coming to Utah next year.
It's a huge deal. It's the marquee event. Outside of the Stanley Cup Finals, it's the marquee event of the NHL calendar, and it's one of those like kind of tent pole dates in the NHL season. And for Utah to get it in year 3 is enormous, and we've seen fan bases just balloon from these events. Right? We saw it in Seattle a couple years ago. They had a Winter Classic at where the Mariners play. So you got your Mariners hat on.
Oh, yeah.
There, Alex. But they had one where the Mariners play, I believe it was. And it's such an unbelievable community thing, and it's so much more than just the game itself, the Winter Classic. There's always, like, these fan areas around the stadium. And, I mean, think of, like, a Utes tailgate, a BYU tailgate, but just multiply that. And that's what we're going to have. And it's going to be incredible. And I remember real quick, when I was in the minor leagues and I was with the Blackhawks minor league affiliate, like I wasn't doing anything related to the Chicago Blackhawks, but just being a part of the organization, when they got a Winter Classic, you could feel the ripple effect throughout the organization of the impact of that game, the impact on the business side of things, the impact on the community side of things, and the impact on the hockey side of things. And I remember when Chicago lost that game at Wrigley badly, they got embarrassed by the St. Louis Blues. Like there was some, like the GM never comes into the room, right? Like that's kind of a rule. It's just, that's the coach, that's the player's domain. I'm pretty sure, I'm hopefully not getting this wrong, but there was a strong message from Chicago leadership to the Blackhawks that is not acceptable. When it's a Winter Classic, it's a huge deal. It is not okay to show up and lay an egg at a game like this, but it's a huge deal for the team, and I hope everybody in our community realizes how incredible of an event this is going to be.
Cannot wait for that coming up about a year from now, but we don't have to wait long for the Olympics. And here at KSL, we're very proud to be the exclusive home of the Olympics here in this market, and the chance to show these games on KSL is going to be exciting because we're going to have 4 Mammoth players involved. You've talked to some of these players about that opportunity that they're going to have to play in the Olympics. What does this mean to them? What does it mean to the franchise?
Well, it's everything, and let's start with the team perspective, right? Like talking to head coach Andre Tierney, he wants these guys to go and learn. And there's a ton of stories, not just in hockey, but in other sports too, where good players go and surround themselves with greatness, and they come back as better players. And they pick up habits. You know, if you're Clayton Keller for Team USA, you're sitting in that room, you're looking across at Austin Matthews, at Kyle Connor, at Connor Hellebuck, best goalie in the world, at some of these elite players. And you get to pick up habits from them, not just in the room, but also on the ice. You think of JJ Peterka, he's going to probably have a chance to play on a line with arguably the best German player ever in Leon Draisaitl. Those two will be playing for Team Germany, and Peterka's going to have a front row view to witness what Draisaitl's greatness looks like. And so the individuals get to bring that back to Utah and contribute to a team setting there. But for these players, it's everything. Like that's what they dream about, right? And they dream about holding the Stanley Cup, but to represent your country is even on a different level, I would say. And Olli Mata will be representing Team Finland. He's actually the only player on Utah who has already been. Well, I shouldn't say that because McBain has been in the Olympics, but that was when there weren't NHLers allowed.
Yeah.
But back in 2014, when NHLers were allowed, Olli Mata was there participating, and he was playing alongside his idols like Teemu Selanne and these really famous Finnish names. So it's a dream come true for all these guys. It's best on best. And we saw it from last year's Four Nation. These international competitions are kind of where legacies are born, right? And you can do it in the finals, you can do it in the playoffs, but when you get best on best like this, especially U.S.-Canada, I mean, remember back to last year, the Tkachuk brothers? I mean, everybody in the hockey community knew about Brady and Matthew Tkachuk, but even casual fans know about those guys because they were throwing haymakers right off the first faceoff in the U.S. versus Canada game. So legends are born in these best on best tournaments, and it's a chance for guys to rewrite their narrative.
I just real quick handicap Team USA for us. Like we've had a lot of people speaking in massive hyperbole, and maybe it is correct, but how good is this Team USA compared to the ones we've seen in the past who've been fielded for this? Because I know it's been, I guess, it'll be 12 years since we've seen NHL guys, but I don't know. I've never looked at Team USA as being like they're always going to be an underdog, you know, to an extent. Everyone's going to be an underdog to Canada, but how good is this team compared to other teams we've seen on the ice?
It's really good. It's deep. There are some guys that you'll see on like the third and fourth lines that play really hard, especially on both ends of the ice. I think we learned that from Four Nations, that you can't just have like 4 lines of guys who are defined by their skill. You have to have guys that play both sides of the puck all over the ice. I love the United States defense. I mean, Canada's defense was fantastic last year, but you look at Team USA, you have Zach Werenski, you have Quinn Hughes, who was injured last year for the Four Nations. He's one of the best D-men in the world. There's basically 3 top defensemen in the world. Cale Makar is in a class by himself. He plays for Colorado. He's Canadian. But then Quinn Hughes and Zach Werenski, who play for Minnesota and Columbus, respectively. Those two guys are like 1B and 1C. Like, they're incredible. They'll both be there for Team USA. I'm excited to see that. And the Americans should have the best goaltender in the world, too, and Connor Hellebuck. He'll be there. Jake Ottinger of Dallas will be there as well. You'd think the Americans have a goaltending advantage over Canada and over some of these other countries because Canada's bringing Jordan Binnington, who was a hero in net for them at the Four Nations last year, but his numbers this year are pedestrian, to put it kindly. He's like a big game guy, right? So you need a save, you need one win, you go to Jordan Binnington, but just his body of work is not impressive this year. So you don't have a Crosby, you don't have a McKinnon, you don't have a McDavid on Team USA, but you have a ton of good players, including Clayton Keller, and the defensemen for the Americans are really impressive.
Mike Folta is going to have the call. It's going to be a big one tomorrow night at Delta Center. You're going to have the Dallas Stars coming into town. Division foe, one of the best teams in hockey, and it's a big one. They're all getting to be big, Mike. So we appreciate you coming on and dropping all of the knowledge on us. And we'll talk to you again, man.
All right, got Purdue and Iowa on Big Ten Network here coming up.
Good luck to the Boilermakers.
I'm here on my couch, ready to
Fire it
take
up.
in
I love
a
it.
win. Yeah, thanks, guys.
Mike, we'll see you later, man. Thanks, you go.
Mike
Folta, everybody. That's a lot of good stuff going on with hockey in this market, dude.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. The Olympics are going to be fun. And, the Olympics are one of those things that everyone sleeps on, and then it starts and everyone's all in it. So imagine watching Clayton Keller playing for Team USA on KSL coming up here in, 2-3 weeks. I'm pretty excited about it. It's going to be fun.
When are the Olympics in Salt Lake again? Is it 34?
34.
30? Yeah, 34.
Yep.
So the agreement right now the NHL has is this year and 30, and they'll have to re-up to see if they're going to be able to do it again. What a shame it would be if they don't come to
please. No.
It's going to happen.
I can't imagine Gary Bettman not getting that done to reward Salt Lake City for everything that's happened over the last 2 years.
Well, the league has been the one that pushes back because it's such a scheduling nightmare for them.
I understand it.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of franchises like, I don't want our players going and playing that tournament. There's a reason why they've been on pause since 2014. But to skip Salt Lake City with the Olympics in the United States, in North America, Gary Bettman's not going to let that happen. I'd be stunned if we don't have NHL players in the Olympics in 2034 here in Salt Lake City. Absolutely stunned. It would be a shame.
We're bringing the Olympics back to Salt Lake. Ryan, Ashley, thank you so much. You know that's going to happen. They're going to make an announcement out of it too.
I really didn't want to play, but I just couldn't say no to Ryan and Ashley.
Yeah, the best part about the Gary Bettman coming to town, he will roll out an announcement. They're going to do an announcement because it's going to be in Salt Lake.
Oh, 100%.
It's going to be the 34. They'll be like, I'm coming to town. I'm making an announcement. I'm going to be a hero in Salt Lake again. He's like, no other city loves me but Salt Lake.
It's truth.
Okay, we'll take a break. We'll come back. Mike Folta, love his appearance on our program. It's all brought to you by Hercules First Federal Credit Union. Growing stronger together. We'll take that break. We'll come back. We've got some hot portal talk, including a very awkward situation in Oregon. Stay here, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on the Zone. This is JJ and Alex on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, everybody. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Happy Wednesday to you. Jazz basketball coming up top of the hour. You've got your pregame at 5 Tip off at 6 to hear the beautiful play-by-play voice of David Locke, Ron Boone, of course. And your pregame show starts up at 5 o'clock. Here's the deal. Hans and Scotty are going to be on the road tomorrow at RGS Exteriors, noon to 3, 4235 Farm Road in West Jordan. Join them there. RGS Exteriors, noon to 3 tomorrow. Hans and Scotty. Hot portal talk. Well, it got weird. Now, first of all, I thought it was a strange ad that Dylan Raiola went to Oregon. When he signed with Oregon on that was 2 days ago, the 12th. He signed with Oregon officially. And today, mere hours before this program, Dante Moore declined his NFL draft status of being a top 10 pick in some mock drafts, which is guaranteed 8 figures if that's the case, to come back to Oregon, where Dylan Raiola just signed 2 days ago to stay at school. Uncle Phil Knight, JJ, continues to flash the dollars. Dante Moore is your starting quarterback there. Did Dylan Raiola get punked, or was this part of the plan? They're going to go, hey, we want you to come in. This might not be your year, but we're going to get you in the NFL. We're going to get you paid this year, and you're going to be the guy in 2027.
I think the answer is both. I think that Dylan Raiola looked at Oregon like any of us would and think, wow, an opportunity to play at Oregon. I'm the man. I'm going to go play at Oregon. And he probably assumed, like everybody else, there's no way Dante Moore's staying. He's been talking about being a first-round pick. Well, Dante probably threw a wrench in everyone's plans, and Oregon had to plan ahead. Are they going to say no to? I mean, if obviously they're interested in Dylan Raiola, they think he's a great talent. They think they can help him go to the next level with his development that didn't quite develop the way that Nebraska had hoped. Oregon, I think, is a program that thinks they can take guys to another level. I think they took Dylan Gabriel to another level. Obviously, they took Bo Nix to another level. They have a history now of this, of developing quarterbacks and turning them out into pro football players.
Out of the portal.
Out of the portal.
Yeah.
All those guys are in the portal. So they have a track record now. And Dylan Raiola is looking at that like, I'm next. Well, he is next, but it probably isn't going to be next season. He's got a couple more years of eligibility, and if he's smart and Dante comes in, he'll push and compete with Dante as much as he can, which is going to make him better. And when Dante's named the starter, he accepts that. Perhaps he redshirts. I don't know. He's still young. And however things work out, Dante does go to the NFL next year, and Raiola gets his shot. Maybe it's only 1 or maybe 2 years, but Dylan Gabriel only needed a year at Oregon to make a difference for him, and he's now making money in the NFL. Now, Dante, if the film he put out there in that bowl game, in that semifinal game, hurts his stock, he probably wants a redo on that and playing another season. But I think the bigger problem for him was, do I want to play for the New York Jets? Absolutely not. I'd rather play for the Oregon Ducks in Eugene and make more money. Think about that. Unless you're the number 2 overall pick, which he would have maybe have been. But he doesn't want to go to the Jets, right? So I don't want to go to the Jets, and if I do the Shadur thing, I fall, then I lose money. So I might as well just come back to Oregon, have a chance to make up for the miss in the playoffs, and go on another run with the Ducks and try to win a national championship. If I'm Dante Moore, that's exactly the decision I'm making.
Yep. He's
going to be making 7 figures at Oregon. He gets a chance to run it back with this program and prove to everybody that he's better next year than he was in that game. He had a great season, but he's going to be remembered for what happened in that game against Indiana. And I don't think that's the memory he wants everybody to have. I don't think that's the legacy he wants to leave behind at Oregon. So I get why he's coming back. So as for Dylan Raiola, sorry, bro. You're going to ride the pine for a little bit, most likely. Go compete, do your best. But you know what? No one's going to feel bad for Dylan Raiola because I bet he's getting a nice fat paycheck, whichever happens.
I bet it's still 7 figures, too.
Could be. Which I don't get, but he's a name.
I get it, because maybe that's the price of doing business, of making sure that guy, if they think that's going to be the guy for them.
Essentially, season, Oregon is investing on their next guy, but they have the resources to do it.
JJ, I think about it too. Would you rather be the number 1 team in the recruiting game of high school players, or the number 1 transfer portal recruit?
It's clear in 2026 where everyone's going. Yeah. I get it.
So I was looking at I like looking at the rankings that they do that are totally, who knows. It's funny because you're ranking these teams on who they got with guys who you have no idea how they're going to do, right? Some of them are not proven at all. At least the transfer portal guys probably have some film, right?
Yeah.
And play to good programs potentially, or prove themselves at the FCS level, whatever it is. So the 2026 transfer recruit rankings right now. Say what you will about LSU, they're number 1. By a lot. They have the most 4 stars that they got out of the transfer portal. They got a couple of 5 stars. They're ahead of Texas, Penn State, Oklahoma State. Holy cow. 4th.
They got Mestamaker.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
We'll see if he sticks around. Ole Miss 5, Kentucky 6, A&M 7, Ohio State 8, Texas Tech 9, and Indiana rounds it off at number 10. So, and then on that list of the transfer portal list, BYU's 47th on that list, and Utah's 44th on that list. Now, I think that's not like, hey, you guys did the 47th best with transfers. The thing is they added the fewest on this whole list because they didn't need to add as many.
Yeah.
Right?
No, they didn't have as many holes to plug.
Now, from a recruiting standpoint, like the overall recruiting rankings, this should be a massive deal. Where was BYU every year? It was always like in the mid 40s to low 60s because it's just a tougher place. You know what I mean?
Sure.
BYU top 25 in the commits in the overall recruits. That's as good as I've seen them do ever.
That's a new world for BYU to be in when it comes to recruiting.
Utah 35th, and that's
good.
Again, these are big time. Now BYU added 9 4-stars overall in their recruiting process. That's huge. That's a big time deal. I mean, teams like Clemson, they got 10. Arizona State got 7. Just to compare kind of teams right around them.
BYU's in that realm.
Yeah, so Auburn got 8, you know. The teams that have 15, 16 are like Florida, you know, LSU, I think, in the whole LSU got, are you kidding me?
Wasn't LSU number 1 in NIL next year?
Yes.
Not next year, last year.
Yes. Yeah, but they didn't do it well.
And it didn't pan out.
Notre Dame has 25 4-stars, by the way, if you're wondering. And 4 5-stars that they picked up in their recruiting process. So I think they're doing all right. Anyway, more hot portal talk will happen as soon as it drops here on JJ and Alex. All right? We'll take a stop it. What's going on with Steve Young's hair? Sorry. Tangent. We'll take a break. We'll come back. More to go. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
You know what's coming. Your daily deep dive into everything Utah Jazz. It's time! All season long and even in the off season. It's Jazz Daily with JJ and Alex on your exclusive home of Utah Jazz basketball. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back. The Utah Jazz heading to Chicago. Well, they're already there. Spoiler alert. They're already in Chicago. Taking on the Chicago Bulls tonight. You're going to get a 5 o'clock pregame. That's coming up in just about 7 minutes, so we'll get you ready for that one. You can join Hans and Scotty on Friday, noon to 3, at the Tim Daly Mazda in Sandy. That's 10785 South Auto Mall Drive, Hans and Scotty, at the Tim Daly Mazda in Sandy. All right, the Bulls and the Jazz. No Lowry tonight. What's the deal with that, with the rest situation with Lowry?
I don't know.
It's not like it's a back-to-back.
That's kind of strange, yeah.
Are we going to see a $100,000 fine to the Utah Jazz? They just keep
Hope
sitting.
not.
Well, but the reality is,
it's not my money though.
Oh, it's the first night of the back-to-back. They think tomorrow's going to be the most important one. So there you go. So my question is though, how do they fare tonight in Chicago? Sans Lowry Markkanen.
I like the way they played in Cleveland. It was a nice response to that historic loss to the Hornets. The Bulls are a good team-ish, better than the Jazz, I should say. They're 18-21. They're 11-9 at home. So I do like the Jazz, though. Not without Lowry. Never mind. Jazz lose tonight, but Key's going to have a big game. And I would like to see Keontae George have a nice game without Lowry Markkanen there. Not that that has to be a thing. It's just take advantage of this opportunity to really take control of a game.
Okay, looking forward to it. Jazz, Bulls. Your pregame's going to be coming up next. Tomorrow we're going to have a big show to roll out there for you as well. We've got our hot portal talk we're bringing to you every Thursday. We're anticipating a conversation with Utah Mammoth head coach Andre Tourney as well, so we'll keep you up to date on that. Oh, yeah, they're playing. He's going to be a Friday. Kick him to Friday. Hey, schedule him for Friday. Jazz next, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.